Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to give you 3 quick tips on how to keep spiders from climbing, specifically in the context of making a farm for cave spiders. So, tip number 1 is make your room wider than the spawn area. Now normally for any spawner, the horizontal distance is 4 blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you just make your spawn chamber a 5th block wide, then none of the spiders will spawn directly adjacent to a wall, and if the water is flowing away from the walls into a pit or a trench, then they won't be next to a wall and they'll never have the opportunity to climb it in this chamber. I haven't had any problems with them climbing in this top room since I expanded it 1 block into every direction. So that's the first tip. Now I have a couple more tips, of course, because you can't have... Now this only works for the spawn chamber itself. You're going to have some walls in whatever your trench, your pit, your things to lead the spiders further. So what you want to do there is you want to have an overhang. So the spiders, they can climb this wall if they want to, and if they do, I'll demonstrate. They'll end up here and they'll get washed right back down. They'll climb and they'll get washed back immediately. So you want to have an overhang. You can use fence gates and signs to block the water to try and create a nice overhang. Here I've used a bunch of signs, and I'll show you something a bit further down as well. What you can also do is if you have the water flowing directly above where your wall is, let's say this wall here, you can have spiders climb up here and they immediately get washed back down. So basically the general idea is you want to have it so that any wall that the spiders climb leads to them ending up in flowing water that leads right back to where they came from. Now that's viable in most places. Occasionally you'll have places where maybe that doesn't fit, you don't have a place to set up flowing water or whatever. So I'm going to show you tip number 3, and this is actually one that I found on YouTube, and it does work. You can put a block of water using some fence gates or signs. You can trap it in the corners, that's usually where the spiders go, or you could have a whole line of source water blocks along the top edge. And this doesn't keep them from climbing either, however, if they're in here, they will drown eventually, and that at least keeps your spawn rates up and gets rid of the spiders. You won't get the items if this water isn't flowing, the items will just sit up there as well. So this is sort of the suboptimal solution, and generally you don't actually need to do this type of setup because you can do some sort of configuration that washes the spiders back into your main area. So originally I had a line, for example, here of source blocks up there, but what I changed is that now, we'll see in a second, the corners where they usually get trapped are actually flowing towards the middle, and in the middle they get washed back down. And of course they can climb up to the middle, but usually they try to go to the corners and then they get washed back to the middle. So generally you can use the drowning technique if all else fails, but usually you'll be able to set up some sort of system where they end up climbing into water that pushes them back where you want them to go. So those are the 3 tips I had. Hope that helps. A couple bonus tips that I'll give you if you're still watching the video. I put some seagrass into the source blocks to keep them from freezing when someone walks by with Frostwalker, because I had that happen. And if you've expanded your spawn chamber, as I did here, then you'll need 2 sets of lights to light up the whole thing, instead of just having 1. If you have just a normal size spawn chamber, then 1 would be enough, but here we need 2. And now we see the spiders get washed down, and if they try to climb up, they will get washed down further. We can watch that. We can also watch down here, see if any of them decide to end up in the corners and get washed down. Right now it looks like they're all behaving. Alright, yeah, there we go. There's one, and it gets washed right back down. So you want, if you can, try to have water flowing, especially from the corners or above ledges, to always wash the spiders back into the main area that you're trying to channel them through. So I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, leave them below in the comments. I might do another video on cave spider spawners where I'll cover how to make sure you don't get hit and poisoned in the collection area, if you're interested in that. That's all. Thanks for watching.